Good morning, guys. How are you? It's been a little while and I miss you. Just want to put in a plug here. If you send me pictures, I will show them to the congregation and show off your artwork. I'd love to get some pictures from some of you, maybe about some of our stories that we hear during kids' time. So this summer, we're going to do something a little different. We're going to read Bible stories. And we're going to read about people in the family tree of Abraham. Do you know what a family tree is? A family tree is when you draw out and write the names of the people that you're related to. So your parents, and then their parents, your grandparents, and then their parents, your great-great-grandparents, and so on and so on. And when you write them all out, it kind of ends up looking like a tree. I bet your parents could help you put together your own family tree with as many names as they can remember on it. But in the Bible, there are several family trees. And this summer in worship, we're reading through Genesis, and we're reading about the family tree of Abraham and all the people who come after him. So we're going to read some of those stories together in kids' time, starting today with when we're first introduced to Abraham, except his name isn't Abraham yet. It's Abram, and his wife is Sarai. Eventually, God will change their names. But let's read the story, shall we? This is called Abram and Sarai Find a New Home. And it's based on Genesis chapter 12 and 17. And this is the picture I'm going to try to show you as we read, okay? Sometimes families move. They move from one neighborhood to another. They move from one city to another. They even move from one country to another. My family did that when I was little. When families move into one country from another country, we call them immigrants. That's what Abram and Sarai were, immigrants. They lived in Haran, where their families had always lived. They knew everyone, and everyone knew them. They lived lives like they had always lived, and they did the work their families had always done. They were comfortable in Haran. Then God came up with a new plan for them. One day, God said to Abram and Sarai, I want you to move to a new country. I've got a new home for you. I've got a whole new life for you. I've got new work for you to do. I want you to live in your new country and work there. And just by living and doing good there, you will make everyone's lives better. Abraham and Sarai must have been worried about moving. It's hard to leave what you know, but they listened to God. They left right away for their new country in the land of Canaan. Like all immigrants, they must have felt strange there at first. They must have felt alone. They must have worried what would happen to them in the new place. But when they got to their new country, God met them there. God said to them, I'm going to give you a family. They'll make a home for themselves here. They'll live in this new country and call it their own, because you're starting a new family in a new land. I'm going to give you new names. Abram, you'll now be called Abraham. Sarai, you'll now be called Sarah. So Abraham and Sarah started all over again in their new country, just like many immigrants do today. They had a new place to live. They had a new name. They had a new family. And before too long, they began to feel at home. But they had the same God with them. Isn't that a great picture? What do you think it looked like when Abraham and Sarah traveled from their old home to their new home? Maybe you could draw me a picture of that. Or do you know anybody who comes from a different place Have you ever heard people speaking in a different language who maybe they or their parents moved from a different country? Do you know the name of their language? Look around or think and talk to your mom or dad or grandma or grandpa. See if you can think of kids in your class at school or just in your neighborhood who maybe they or their parents came from a different country. And then think about how could you make them feel at home and how could you make friends with them? And maybe draw me a picture of Abraham and Sarai. All right, I miss you guys. And next week, we're going to talk about Sarah and that promise that God gave of a new family. So come back. All right, bye-bye.